Okay, so in the previous example, this is where we got to. Next job up is to just figure out what color red that is, and then we'll be going on to working on the layout for the grid that's going on here, which has got, if we treat everything as an article, 3, 7, 11, 14 items. But before we get to that point, we're going to have a look at the typeface that we're using to find something a little bit closer to the reef typeface that the BBC uses. So let's just pop to fonts.google.com. Looking for a sans serif typeface, or a couple of sans serif typefaces, one for display and one for body. Font properties, categories, there we go. Let's just knock off serif, display and handwriting and monospace, or maybe keep display on. Roberta, we're looking for, it's quite a plain typeface, to be honest. Might try Open Sans for now. Actually, it's got a bit of space between it. Need something a bit more condensed than that. Just. So look at just then. Okay. So we'll take some styles. We'll take 400, a 500, and let's get a bold or a semi-bold, 6 and a 7. And we'll embed it using import. So we just take this part here, copy that back here, and just inside the style tag we will paste that in. That imports in all of the different weights. So if you notice here, those are the different weights that we've selected. We could just change the numbers on there as well. And then for the body, we'll set the font family to Just. For a second, have a quick look at the example and see if it's changed at all. It has changed. Then we'll have something like sans serif as a backup, just in case. Okay, so it looks a little bit better than it did before. And I think I'll also be getting rid of the border color on main now as well. Don't need that anymore, but I'll just comment it out. Commenting is a way of writing comments in different languages that are not parsed or not read by the browser or the computer. And this is how you do it in CSS. Basically you have /* and then */, and that creates a comment, so you can write some information in there. As it happens, all I'm doing is making something disappear but still be there if I want to reinstate it. To do a comment in HTML, it's slightly different. You put angle bracket, exclamation mark, dash dash, and then close it with dash dash, angle bracket. This is a comment. And so that reason you use comments is actually to explain what's going on in the code that you're using, or in the markup in this case. It makes it easier for other people to read. It makes it easier for you to keep track of what you're doing, and to come back to it at a later date. Okay, now let's have a look at this red here. So currently, the BBC One logo, we've just used color red, the base red. Now, RGB colors, red is 25500. So use that as a starting point. Same red. And what we can do is we can just start taking this value down. Try 240. Hover over it. Let's get in there. It's a little bit darker, and then we'll knock it down to maybe 230. Let's get in there. I can still just about make it out. I'll try 220. I think 220's gone too far because now the VC1 logo is looking a little bit lighter. So let's try 222. Still just about make it out. 223. I think that's a negligible difference between the two if there is one at all. And so that will do. And then what we're going to be doing is moving on to creating the grid. So these are all going to be articles. I'm going to put them inside of a section. Each section is going to have an image. It's going to have a heading. Most of those headings are going to be H3. Some of them H2. And that can be H2. H2 again, slightly different font maybe. H3 there. Some paragraphs, lots of links. A fair bit of styling to do there as well. And a funny peachy colour to use as well. So 14 articles, they're all going to be roughly the same. I'm going to forget about this box here for now. It's a bit of a distraction. So back to the HTML. Anytime if it gets a bit distracting to have lots of things open, we can just close the style down by clicking on the arrow. So inside the main, after the nav, we're going to have a section. And that ID will be main content. And inside that section, then we're going to have a load of articles. So we'll use Emmet again. We're going to have article times 14, is it? Just count through them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is it 15? 8, 11, 14. Still getting 14. Yeah, 14, definitely. First check, triple check. So the article will then contain an image plus a span. Use a span to kind of like contain the text. And inside of that we'll have H3 plus actually the span will contain a link which itself will contain a H3 plus a paragraph. Press tab. There we go. So the idea is that will make the hyperlink be on the paragraph and the heading. I mean, they've got separate hyperlinks, but it's the same address, so we'll just treat them as the same thing to start off with. It's strange if they've used list items there, or they've given them bullet points. Okay, so then what we'll be doing is we'll be popping the images inside of each of these articles so we can start to see something happening. So there'll just be some space there at the moment. So image source, start typing images. The first one's easy. It's KillingEve promo. There we go. We'll give this article a class of primary article, because if we look at the main page, there we go, it's the main one, it takes up a couple of columns, which looks quite sensible already. The next ones we'll put in a bit of random order, so this is going to be smaller. I think it might have the smaller version. If not, we'll use the same image and then make it smaller afterwards. See, I think it's one of these ones. If we go into the images folder, we can actually hover over them and figure out which one it is. Huh. Okay, KillingEve promo is what it's going to be then. Let's copy and paste this then instead. And that's going on to the next two items, and we've got iPlayer and next episode, so they can have a class as well to represent that, just in case we might use it. So iPlayer, link, and article class next on, just in case. You might not use the classes, but it's a good idea to have them in there. And let's go back through the image sources. So we're looking at the wakey thing. Oh, good guess. So that's that one there. Not quite sure which one it is. Let's hover over. I suppose it doesn't really matter about the order of the rest of them, so let's just do them in order that they appear. For simplicity's sake, we can always add in the text as we go on. What I'll do is I'll pause the video and fast forward for this bit. Okay, so hopefully, if I check this now, there'll be different images for all of them. Just make sure none of them are repeated. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, so the images have already been formatted anyway, most of them. But we're going to want to be setting these to specific sizes, and we'll do that with the grid layout actually. Okay. So what we're going to do is now start to make the grid layout. So the first thing we need to do is refer to main content, which is the div that I created to hold these boxes, and it's going to have a display of grid. And then grid template columns. We're going to set up each column to have a specific width. Now there's going to be 4 columns, although on the top row the main article takes up 2 of them. So 4 columns, I'm going to look at 24% to start off with. So we just write that in, 24% times 4 times. And that, and just see what impact that's had so far. You'll notice the bigger images are overflowing their boxes. They're getting this funny repeating going on. But all the other boxes seem to be behaving themselves pretty much. What we need to do then is to tell each of them or the images inside of them. So we're referring to main content again, and then we're referring to the article and the image. And we will tell the image to have a width of 100%. So I'm using the code hinting to help me by. Yeah, so now they all fit the boxes that have been created. So they're all 24%. We'll have to then put some spacing in between. So we'll go back to the main content rule, grid gap for all the columns and the rows. Let's go with 5 pixels to start off with. Semicolon. Okay. So maybe 24% is a little bit too small, or the gap between is too small. I'm going to go with 24.5% then. Oops. I've broken it. How have I broken it? Let's look at this number here. It's got no percentage. Now they're working. Okay, so I'm just going to save at that point. If you regularly save your work, that would be a good idea, because Brackets doesn't do auto-save, I don't think. So the images are set to the right sizes for the boxes at least. And then what we need to do is to handle the primary image thing. So we created a class, so use dot for class. Primary article, was it? Primary. Let's just double check that. Primary article, yeah. And we're going to use grid column start and grid column end. So grid column start starts at 1. Grid column end is going to end before the third one. This is where it's a little bit confusing, because we want it to span columns 1 and 2. So it ends at 3, and therefore it will do the following. So now we haven't had to resize this image necessarily, because we've made them the same size as the boxes. This one here is working fine, so we've got the images sorted. The next thing to do is then start putting in the background color for the boxes, and putting in the headings and the link text, and then that'll be pretty much it for this example for now. Okay, so I've just created a little rule for the main content article. When we get to it, we'll put the background color in at that point. But right now, what we need to do then is start copying and pasting or typing out the headings. So you can highlight and then copy, or right click and then copy, depending on which browser you're using, which operating system. So I'll just hide away this style for a little bit and start putting in the headings. So there we go. Paragraph underneath it. Okay. I have to type that one out. Let's go with the headings for now. Okay, you can start to see the headings going in there, thus the need for a background color. So back into the style that I created for content article, give it a background color, something similar to what's going on in there. Try Biscuit. Aha, bit of an error there. I didn't put in the hashtag to make the column work. There we go. Starting to look okay already. We'll probably be putting some padding on to the H3 and the paragraph and everything that's in there. If we try and put it on the article itself, it's probably going to create a gap around the image, and we don't want that really. It's not quite the effect that we're going for, so we kind of have to refer to main content, article, and then H3 or H2, H3 and P. And just give them some padding of 5 pixels for now. And that insets them. The image is still the same size. We will also want to change the color of the hyperlinks and change the text decoration so the underline isn't actually there at the time. There's some other styling we need to do, like the line space and things between things, but we can handle that later on. Okay, so let's put in a rule about the hyperlinks inside of main content. Color, I think, is a kind of reddy color, so we'll go with dark red for now. And we also want to turn off the text decoration to none for now, so it starts to look a bit more like that. It's time to get into the way it should look, and we can handle the space and everything at a later point. So I'll just pause at that point and fill it out. You just need to follow that and get to the point where the boxes are filled in, and that will be the end for this series of tutorials until the next week. Okay, so with a little bit of text in, it's starting to look a bit closer to what we're aiming for. Pretty much finished, to be honest. Just need to sort out some styling with the text. Some of the headings are supposed to be black, padding above them and things like that. But I'll leave that until the next video. There's plenty for you to be on with now.